Look, we got a new microphone. Hello. Say something, Blossom, speak! Blossom, speak! Speak! Good girl! Jojo, you wanna say something? Go ahead. Hi, welcome back to my studio. I see so many new faces here. Welcome and thank you for being here. It means so much to me. It's been a while since I've uploaded anything or filmed anything. I've been meaning to share my art therapy experience with you. Where was I? Baby brain. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm pregnant. I am 4 months pregnant now, 16 weeks. So that's slowed me down a lot. I haven't been feeling well during my first trimester. I'm in my second trimester now, feeling a lot better, have my energy back. Also, another side update, I had my paintings in a restaurant, exhibited in a restaurant for the first time, and it was a last minute opportunity, but it was meant to be. I'm so grateful for any exposure of my art. I have 5 originals that were ready to be hung, and go check out my Instagram. I have more on that there, and follow me there because I'm mostly active on Instagram the most. So how I first heard about art therapy, after high school, I graduated high school in 2007. After that, I went to a random college because I did not know what I was going to do with my life. I just knew I had to make money. I just knew we grew up with not much money. I had a single mother. She just worked and worked. And I knew I had to help. She still works till this day. And I just knew I had to make money. And I majored in bio. Because I was trying to be a doctor, like every Asian person, right? I was miserable. I couldn't keep up with the college level courses. And at the time, you wouldn't believe this. Most people don't believe that I had this phase. I was drinking every weekend, partying, and failing all my classes. I actually got kicked out of my first college because my GPA was below a 2. But I don't care about that anymore. It was part of my journey. And so I got kicked out, and then I think I took some time off, a semester or 2. I was just so miserable, so depressed. I had suicidal thoughts for the first time in my life. At this time, it was a really dark time in my life, and then I decided to just go to a community college and try nursing because it's easier, which was a 2-year program, 2-year intensive nursing program. So I took a lot of the courses in order to take the entrance exam, and I think I was still failing a lot of them. At that point was one of my lowest points. I had so much anxiety, so much social anxiety. I could barely function at school. It was so hard. I was having a hard time being with myself too. And I decided to take all art classes, all elective art classes. So it was just the most creative art classes that my community college was offering. I took floral design class, which I loved. My professor had a PhD in floral design, which I thought was so respectable because he followed his passion, even if it was floral design. and we got to touch fresh flowers every week, which was so healing. And I took face painting class, I think, and I took an oil painting class. Just five classes, all creative art classes, because that's what I needed. I had no idea what I was going to do with my life, no idea how I was going to make money. So I just needed that break to do something for myself. Art has always been my passion, so I gave myself that semester of all art classes, and I was starting to find my joy again. In my first, my oil painting, she told me about art therapy, asked me what I was studying, and I said, I don't know. I'm just here taking a whole bunch of art classes. I was studying bio and nursing before, but it wasn't for me. She said, have you heard of art therapy? And that was the first time I've ever heard of art therapy in my life, and I was so fascinated. She basically explained it briefly, how it's a combination of art and psychology. I was just so fascinated, and I had to research more about what art therapy was. I just knew in my gut that this was for me because of everything that I was going through with my depression at the time and feeling so lost, and then how these art classes were really helping me to heal from that. And it was more of a stable career, which it isn't. Talk about that more later. And after I did research, I knew I needed my master's, but I just wanted to go dive right in and get my bachelor's in it too. So I went to NJCU, New Jersey City University, for my bachelor's in art therapy. It was one of very few colleges near me that was offering art therapy as a bachelor's, and so I went. There was just one art therapy professor there. We were always self-advocating for ourselves with other art therapy students, because there was never enough students to fill the class. So we had to go around and kind of convince people to take this class as their elective so that class could run, and then we could take it in order to graduate. And that was really, really annoying. And then I experienced my first internship at a nursing home facility for people living with AIDS. And it was a really good experience because you got to see the diagnosis in real life and what it looks like in real life, not just from a textbook. And I did a lot of beautiful art therapy there with the clients, and I even got to experience one-on-one with higher functioning clients who enjoyed art, and I still remember them. I remember certain moments that were just so powerful, and how powerful art could be as a way to express yourself and things that are hard to express through words. I did a little mini thesis, wrote about yoga and art therapy because it's something that I've been wanting to incorporate into my future practice. I've always chosen things that I've been passionate about, topics and papers and stuff like that, and just everything. I can't do anything if I'm not passionate about it. So I graduated finally in 2014. It took me 7 years to finish my bachelor's. And then I decided to get my master's. I wanted to get into a prestigious school for once, and so I applied to just one school, NYU, because they have a great art therapy program. and I got rejected, and I was devastated. I took a few months off, and I stayed at my college to take a few more fine art classes because my on-site supervisor she actually went to NYU, and she encouraged me to work on my portraiture and my figures, drawing and painting. We did need to show an art portfolio because as an art therapist you do need to know how materials work, and you do need to know how to draw in case you need to help someone. But you're never really doing drawing classes or anything like technical when you're doing art therapy. I took figure drawing and I took a ceramics class and did my portfolio all over again, and then next year I applied to NYU again, and then 12 other art therapy programs. And I got into some, didn't get into others. I eventually chose to go to SVA because it was a good mix of NYU, which is more clinical, and then Pratt, which is more experiential, and they were more like woo-woo and that vibe. And then SVA was right in the middle of clinical and experiential. And at this time, my dad was really sick. He was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis. One of the hardest things. I was still gonna see this through because I knew art therapy was for me. My experience at SVA, it was brutal. I barely got through it, to be honest. First of all, my commute was crazy. On top of all of the papers and studying we had to do, we would write like 20 to 30 pages on one art piece, like really dissect it, and then that started to become really detrimental to how I would create. Not that I had an art practice at the time, or I wasn't painting at all at the time, no time for that. It was just when we did do the experientials in class, I was overthinking about how I was creating. For example, if you use the colors black and red, it's trauma. Most of the time it's true, but sometimes you just want to use black and red. Or if you don't include some of the body parts, this means something or that means something, and that would drive me nuts. Just so hard to make art freely because your art therapy brain is thinking about what it could mean or what's wrong with you. That part was a struggle to balance, like your artist side and your art therapist side, because every art therapist is an artist first, right? The internships, all unpaid, 3 times a week, 8 hours a day, and I think that is really unethical. I think we should have been paid for all the work we did. We were practically working there and doing most of the work that nobody really wanted to do, like the cleanup and all of that stuff. I still learned a lot. We went through the developmental stages of art and how to engage in appropriate art making, what materials to offer to different populations. For example, you would never offer watercolor paints in the first session because it's too fluid. It's all the way at the end of the spectrum where you have no control, and you would start off with something more controlled like a pencil, which is safer. You could always erase it if you need to, and you would never offer clay to clients who's been sexually abused because it's too tactile and it could trigger them. So things like that were very fascinating to me. Still, it was brutal because I was not getting good sleep because I was commuting. The paperwork was a lot, like it was so many papers and so much reading, and on top of that going to internship. And when you're in any therapeutic program, a lot of your own crap is going to come out and you will be triggered. And learning about all these theories and stuff. So on top of that, with my dad being sick, it was extra rough. So I had to go part-time after my first semester, which was really hard. Some people even dropped out of the program, and it was just too much for me. And my first internship was really triggering for me, and then I had to find a new internship halfway through the semester. I worked with a population that I felt more comfortable with, which was the elderly. And a lot of people, when I say I did art therapy, I do art therapy, they ask, oh, you work with children? I'm like, no. Art therapy is for everyone. I actually worked with elderly a lot. And I went back full-time for my second year, and I was working with children and teens with autism, which I loved. I did my entire thesis, feeling benefits of mandala with children with autism. And at the time I wasn't into spirituality and all that, but it's just like me. We spent a year long on the experiential for me. So I made mandalas with the children all year long, and they loved it. We used different mediums and different techniques to make all different mandalas. And my theory was that because children with autism do repetitive behaviors, they would either line up their toys or they would make the same repeating gestures or to calm themselves. I thought mandala making, which is very repetitive, can calm them in a more constructive way through creativity. It was a beautiful experience, and I'm grateful for that. So I finally graduated in 2017. It was so hard to find a job in art therapy. Barely got any interviews. I was applying everywhere in New Jersey, New York. I got nothing until I finally got an interview for a suicide hotline. My first professional job in the mental health field, which is where I met my boyfriend. So if I didn't go to grad school and all of that, I wouldn't have met my boyfriend, and I wouldn't be pregnant right now. So I don't regret anything. Certain things that you should know if you decide to pursue your master's in art therapy. But if you were my best friend, I would say don't do it. You don't need it anymore. That's my honest truth, because it's not worth it, and it's all for money. It's never to really help us to find careers in this field or be professors. We're practicing it for many years. A lot of them were all lovely, and most of them were white. A sad reality that we live in, where racism is still a thing, and 98% of the art therapy world are white women. You really don't need a master's anymore. You can practice art therapy non-clinically in your own way. And someone who's doing that is Yu Jung from Thirsty for Art. She also went to SVA. Just go check out her YouTube channel and her Instagram. She is truly a pioneer in paving the way for us who want to help other people with art. I don't regret investing in myself, but it's not worth $80K or more. And if you want to help people with art, you don't need a freaking master's degree in it. Every artist knows that art is healing in and of itself, and you just need to have the desire to help others express themselves and tap into their creativity, because so many humans have lost touch with that side of themselves. And you don't need to know all these theories on art therapy or how to do art therapy assessments and all that. If you want to get super clinical and work with all these populations that are very traumatized and that weighs on you, then go for it, but I wouldn't encourage it. Thank you for listening, and thank you for being here. I hope you stick around to see my art therapy practice in the future and my courses and all that after I give myself more time to create more of my own art. Bye, thanks for watching. See you soon.